Opposed? Agenda item 28.
Proposed ordinance amending Chapter 66, Article 2 of the Pinellas County Code related to health and sanitation. The public hearing was properly advertised. Affidavit of publication has been received for filing. No correspondence has been received. The matter is properly before the board to be heard.
Madam Chair, under item 28, we're recommending that you take public testimony and finally approve an amendment to Chapter 66 relating to health and sanitation permits.
Okay. I have one card in opposition. Mr. Pitts, you want to address this from comp plan statements that are the transit element? This is a health department issue. You sure you have the correct item?
Yeah, the swimming pool thing. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
Maybe I made a mistake. Too many cards fill out. So
Brian Pitts, St. Petersburg. If that's on the card, yeah, that's a mistake. You sure that's on there?
It says transit element.
Oh, shoot. Okay, hey. That was a mistake. No. We're here to talk about this, the swimming pool thing, but it shouldn't have been that in the topic area. I must put it on another card. The topic area.
This is fine.
Okay. Well, here, as obviously most times the legislature, anytime you want to increase regulation on a business, just don't do it because you can. Now, you think this small little bill, well, what's the big deal? Well, it's two sections in it. Section 3 says, any person who operates or maintains any public swimming pool must complete a course on instruction and training conducted or approved by the health department. Why? Why? You've heard reports that they're not managing and maintaining. You just don't regulate because you can, unless you got reports. Now, of course, in the legislature, they call this the Sunrise Act, and you have to have some criteria. But, of course, this is a local issue, so you know. Now, state is involved, but even in 64E-9, which is the state's FAC, they do have some criteria of how to manage. Okay, and they're expecting that the maintainer or the owner of the swimming pools will run it in just that fashion. But it's not mandated, but they're expecting. If not, they can lose the license or be cited for it. What you're going further, what you can, further than the state, is now regulating, says, no, they must now do this. Again, why? Has the state told you maybe you need to think about something below and changing something in that? Is there a reason why you're going to? Again, this is increasing regulation. Now, coming from a Republican standpoint, you don't increase regulation on business when you don't have to. Flat out. Got to have a reason if you're going to do it. That's one of the things. Y'all, you talk about taxes a lot, but also Reaganomics also includes not increasing regulation on any business unless you have to. It must, because something so bad. You know, like the pain clinics? Yes, something going on so bad that from a Republican standpoint, we must do something about this. Well, similar with this pool thing. Oh, who's going to miss it? Big deal. I said, no. Why are you going to regulate those who want to endeavor in this tax? Why? Then, Section 4 has this weird thing about how you can get a waiver. The language here is really crazy. I don't even want to start with the language on here. It's crazy. I mean, I imagine the court trying to play with the criteria. You know what? Forget it. I'm not going to try to get a waiver. If that's the criteria you're going to put there, forget it. It is crazy. Look at the criteria in Section 4. All on the bond section. In Section 4. Okay. Any particular case. When in it is opinion, opinion, that's discretion, here we go. You know, opinion, arbitrary and discretion, arbitrary and capricious. Familiar with that term? That can get a lot of agencies in trouble using that discretion term. Because the first thing I'm going to argue, that's arbitrary and capricious. You didn't waive it because your opinion, well, I'm calling your opinion arbitrary and capricious. Constitutional issue, you know. Of course, I can bring that up because that is in case law, so that doesn't mean stuff. All the way down the line, if the regulation is arbitrary and capricious, the court can strike it. Now it includes the ordinance, so that's in case law. But it has all this thing. The enforcement thereof would do manifest injustice and would be contrary to the spirit and purpose of the code or technical codes or public. Who wrote all that? And then it mentions 1 through 4 and the following. So to give the waiver, it's all that, if manifest justice, the spirit of the code, whatever, and then these other 4 things. All that together, then waiver good. Forget it. You know what? I ain't going to run no pool. Okay, forget it. Okay. No, it's not good. Maybe you need to look over it again.
Do I have anyone else interested in addressing this particular agenda item?
Madam Chair?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask staff to speak to the issue of why this is being required for a public pool.
Madam Chair, I believe we were supposed to have representatives from the Health Department here, but I don't see them in the crowd.
Aha.
Can you help us out?
Yes.
Thank you. Hiding behind the pole.
Yes.
Good evening.
Hi, I'm Christine Frankfurt from Pinellas County Health Department. I'm a manager in the Environmental Health Division. We regulate public swimming pools. And normally we regulate them under the state code. But we do have pools that are permitted under the county ordinance that are exempt from state regulation. What we're doing here is the state code says that if you're going to work on a public pool that's state permitted, you have to be a CPO, which is a certified pool operator. You need to go through 16-hour training to be a certified pool operator. The pools that are regulated or permitted by the county have no requirement for training. We feel that anyone hired to take care of a public pool to ensure the health and safety of the people using the pool should have someone trained and know a little bit about pools to take care of that pool. So that's why we're adding this, and it's a 4-hour training that we provide. Other counties provide it. There are some classes on the internet that are available, but some type of training to do that. I have a letter from one of our residents of Pinellas County saying, you know, I receive complaints all the time, but this one says that the chlorine level at our pool is so high that many bathing suits were bleached out and a baby was burned. We have no one taking care of our pool, and our management doesn't seem to feel that it's an important thing. So that's why we went ahead and are asking to have this requirement for the training put into the ordinance.
So it's just a basic public safety issue?
Yes, it doesn't affect businesses whatsoever. It's people that are hired by the owner of the pool. It's not a pool company. A pool service company is required by the state to have a CPO license. These are individuals that are hired possibly by a motel owner or an apartment owner or somebody that is a county permitted pool and hiring an individual to take care of their. Usually it's the maintenance man, and we think the maintenance man ought to know something about pools if that's part of his responsibility.
Okay. Thank you.
Commissioner Roach and then Commissioner Brickfield.
Have we polled these companies to see at what level we're at now in terms of these folks that are hired? And do any of them already have this training?
We don't have any way of knowing who, unless the pool has hired a pool company.
Right.
That's through the Pinellas County Construction Licensing Board. They're registered through there. Those companies all are required to have this 16-hour CPO license. We have no way of knowing who's taking care of a public pool if it's not a pool company.
Okay.
We have nothing. So what we were hoping to do was to at least provide training and issue some type of card and tracking system to keep track of people who are taking care of public pools.
Commissioner Brickfield.
So, thank you, Madam Chair. So, a public pool is an apartment building? The Y? Any hotel?
Yes. A public pool, by definition, is a pool that's used by five units or more, any type of living arrangement, or more than one family and their guests. So small, like 5-apartment building with a pool would be a public pool. It may not be regulated by the state, depending on the time of the amount of time that people are allowed to lease for. If it isn't regulated by the state, then it's picked up by the county ordinance. We have about 100 pools in Pinellas County that are exempt from state regulation, even though they're considered a public swimming pool, and that's where the county ordinance picked them up to make sure that they at least meet the minimum requirements and protect the people that are using the pool. And this basically affects just those pools. It's about 100.
Just those 100. Mm-hmm. And if you're in a state-regulated pool, you get 16 hours of training, is that right?
Yes, you're required by
And
the
if you're one of those 100, you would need 4 hours of training. Mm-hmm. Mr. Pitts, thank you. You always read every page, I know that. Because this was really brought to us as eliminating the Health Permits Board, so, because they never meet, and just handing all the authority over to the Department of Health.
What that's actually doing is, the Health Permit Board was set up, and I don't know, I've been working at the Health Department now the second time for 7 years. I've never heard of that board meeting up until this point in time. I hadn't heard of that board. But what we were trying to do with this is to be able to give those 100 pools that have no recourse. State permitted pools can take, if they have a problem with their pool and they can't meet that state code, the Governor's Variance Board meets over in Orlando every other month, and they can grant variances. If the pool can show a hardship or some reason why they can't meet a certain requirement of the code, they can go to that variance board and ask the variance board to grant them, a stay, give them more time, or make an exception. Those 100 pools that we permit through the county ordinance don't have that capability. They can't go and ask the state board for a variance because according to the state, they're not a permitted pool under their system. So what we're trying to do here is give those 100 or so pools a chance to ask for a variance from the county, since they can't ask the state.
And then that letter you read, was that from one of those 100 pools?
Yes, it was.
And how often do you get a complaint like that, or say a pool of those 100 pools we're talking about?
I get phone calls from people all the time complaining about the upkeep of their pool. Now, that's all the pools, and we have almost 3,000 public pools in the county.
Wow.
Commissioner Bastock. I'm sorry if you've answered this already, but I missed what determines if a public pool, I understand the definition of a public pool, what determines whether that public pool is subject to the state regulations or the county?
All right. All the public pools are subject to the state rules. Then the statute 514, gives an exemption criteria. And so these 100 pools or so that we have in the county had applied through the state system for an exemption. And this gets, okay, if it's under 32 units, and they don't, and they're not registered with the Department of Business and Professional Regulation as a public lodging, and they're promised, they sign an affidavit that they're going to take care of their pool, and they're going to have life-saving equipment, and they're going to keep the chemistry of the pool water correct, the state will grant them an exemption, and they become an exempt pool from state regulation. Nobody looks at them, nobody regulates them. There's no oversight whatsoever. There's nothing. If they have 32 units or more, they can apply for this exemption through the same statute. And the 32 or more units are, if they don't lease for periods of less than 60 days, and of course they're going to keep the life-saving equipment and keep their chemistry up to par, then they can be granted an exemption. And but they still get one inspection per year, just to ensure that the life-saving equipment is there and that the chemistry is kept up. So these 100 pools that we have permitted under the county ordinance basically are those type of pools that are exempt by the state, but the county decided, and this was back in the mid to late 90s, decided this ordinance was amended to say these pools need to be inspected just like the other ones. We still have people, that we want to protect.
And then we're making these proposed changes
to those pools.
To the county ordinance.
Yes.
Okay. How will we communicate these changes to those 100 or so pools subject to this? Not to the pools, to the pool owners.
Most of them, well, we do mailings all the time, and I go out and speak to management companies. A lot of these places are managed by a professional management company, so we'll do a mailing to the management companies and to each of the individual pool owners.
Thank you. Oh, yes, sir.
Thank you. So have we notified these 100 folks of this pending issue right here?
No, we haven't at this point.
Okay.